Welcome back to Solera Elevate Blueprint Podcast, where we highlight leaders who are shaping the future of HR, recruiting, and the world of work. Our mission here is to keep the human at the center while exploring stories and strategies that help people lead with purpose. And today we have Aida. We're so happy to have her here. So welcome, Aida.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You are a very powerful leader in this industry, and we're grateful to hear your voice today. You bring a perspective here that so many women in recruiting and HR will resonate with. You've navigated some challenges, rising through leadership to build your own company, and you exude confidence. And you've definitely handled a lot of high demand environments. So today she's going to be discussing empowering women in the recruiting and HR space. What do you think this next generation needs to hear?
This generation needs to know that nothing comes easy, that we need to work hard. We need to have a plan. There is something about hustle, grit, and commitment to that plan. And good old fashioned blood, sweat, and tears and to achieve your dreams. What is a long term plan? I think the younger you are, the more difficult it is to pinpoint exactly what that is. But as we grow older and we identify what our strengths are and be able to take that and then formulate your future and how you're going to get there. Have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I think ultimately everything that you want to achieve is achievable just with the right focus and certainly with a lot of hard work. Put it in.
I love the 5-year plan. What would you say when you left the corporate world and started? How would you say you went about that 5-year plan?
For me, it was more of achieving a dream. I had a dream, and the pandemic was what kind of propelled me into the forefront and saying, okay, it's now or never. Because during the pandemic, we didn't know if we were going to be around the next day. And so the world could not be more imperfect during that time when I launched the business. So the message is do not wait for things to be perfect. They will never be perfect. What you have to do is at least have an idea of where it is that you want to go. And sometimes the journey is going to take you places that you're going to ask, what am I doing here? How is this relevant? I'm a big believer in everywhere you've been is perfectly preparing you for where you're going. It's a mantra that it resonates so much with me because I look back into my own journey and say, oh, this is why I did that. And this is why I did this. And this is why I was there. And everything just, it's come, to the front now and said, okay, I did these things. I was at these places and I sacrificed so much so that I can be here now. And there's something to be said about that. So for a young person who's trying to figure things out I think the biggest message is that don't wait for things to be right. Don't wait to finish school. Don't wait to get the perfect job but you just have to get out there and as corny as it sounds, about manifesting, right? What is it that you want? You have to manifest. You have to pray. You have to light those candles. I'm Hispanic, so we like candles. When I wanted to transition from the law firm into the corporate world, it was very difficult for me because I grew up in the law firm. All I knew was the law firm. And so transitioning to corporate was in itself a challenge. So I had this idea of transitioning. I don't know what it is about me and, world matters, but this transition of mine happened when the market crashed, 2008, 2009. So I was like, this is not a good time to be thinking about career moves. So I put it in the back burner, but I did manifest, what it is that I wanted. I revamped my resume several times. I started talking to people. I went online and searched for opportunities that might align with what I had to offer. That was 2008 when I had that great idea. Lo and behold, out of the blue in 2011, I got a call from the largest staffing company in the world asking me to run their Miami division. And obviously they had me at hello. And that was the beginning of that. That was the beginning of my pivot. And so the message is that, you may not know exactly what it is that you want to do, but you certainly have to soul search and find, what really moves you, what motivates you, and try to build something around it.
You took action to put yourself out there, and that's how you got that first step. I think that comes with a lot of courage and grit and hustle. They all played into how you got to that place. And now you've come, full circle where you're a major player. You're a female leader in this area. So obviously you had some challenges that helped to shape you. But what do you think was your challenge that really gave you that confidence and courage to say, it's time?
For me, the word that resonates the most to answer your question is discomfort. Everything that I have done has been born from a place of discomfort. I was going through a tremendous hardship at the same time that I was pivoting into this new industry. So I needed to find a way to make things happen for myself. But I will tell you that I have never been more uncomfortable in my life. And it was out of that discomfort that I found my place. For those that are looking to elevate, there's no way that you're going to get to the next level, elevate, or ascend if not for getting uncomfortable. But if you want more, you really need to shake things up. You really need to do things differently. You really need to get into a place where you don't want to be. But I will guarantee you that it's going to be all worth it.
That's good advice because that's what helps people create opportunities for themselves.
hmm
And clearly that's what you did. You created. So can you talk to us a little bit about what you created?
I knew that I wanted to build my own legal recruiting firm. It's something that I always wanted to do. It's an idea that I had had for several years before I actually launched. And then lo and behold, because of the pandemic, you couldn't get out there and hire people normally because people were home. So I turned to my village. They were my friends, and I called them the Coral Gables housewives because that's what they were. And I called them after my husband. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this because I had overwhelming feeling like today's the day that I'm launching, and it ripped off that fear, right? Leaving the cushy job and the nice paycheck. Coincidentally, it was not by design, but that's the way that it worked out. As more women started finding out that I was doing this, they were knocking on my door. It was intense training on what law firms need, what law firms do, what lawyers do, what paralegals do. So you can imagine they're not only learning the recruiting industry, they're also not also learning the legal industry. So there was a whole lot of training going on. I quickly realized year in that I was doing something amazing. I loved that I was elevating these women. They're becoming these executives right in front of my eyes. And I loved that. And I was like, oh my God, we have something amazing going on here. I needed to embrace it. It was so inspirational. They inspire me because I saw them from being housewives to super smart, well-rounded, amazing, beautiful women that I had like plucked, and now we're in this, they grasped it. And if not because of them, Ascension wouldn't exist. They are Ascension, and I'm incredibly proud of them, all of them. I have a core team that has been with me since day one. They're just amazing. I hear them speak and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. So one thing and something else happened, but that's the way it is. I don't have a recruiting background. I don't have a sales background. I know the legal industry, right? But that's it. That's all I know. But somebody saw in me the potential to run an office. Even if someone doesn't fit all those boxes, if someone has a potential, you need to know if they're hungry. If someone is hungry, they have the desire to grow and do something, then, that's good material to work with. But I think I'm the perfect example of that because someone saw that in me. And so I pay it forward, right? I don't need someone to come in with a perfect resume. If you're willing, ready, and able, then let's do this, right?
So if you had to look at your challenges in these past 5 years, like what are your top couple challenges that you've had to overcome and how'd you do it?
So when we started with a group of women. I think we were 10 when we started. So training everyone, right? That was challenge number one. Then you started with a group of women without the industry experience or knowledge and an Excel spreadsheet. We ran the entire business. That was our tech stack, right? An Excel spreadsheet.
You.
But that just comes to tell you, like, you don't need things to be perfect. You don't need an experienced team. I didn't have any money. So this is what we had and we made it work. Technology for me has always been, I'm really big, we're 100% self-funded. So we've never had to borrow a dollar. We've just continued to grow organically. And that I'm also very proud of. So as a CEO, I'm kind of always looking at opportunities. Nowadays, there's a lot of technology. You're able to reach out to more people
Yes.
with the use of AI. So outreach, certainly using AI, that's something that we're implementing.
That's exactly what Lisa and I believe in here. There's some people that want to use it and take out the human-centered piece. So we want
Mhm.
human to stay in human resources and even, recruiting, talent acquisition.
There's something to be said about the personal touch, about understanding, having a conversation. What did you do this summer? How are your children? How's the family? That's what we strive for. We want to be part of your journey, right?
This has been a great interview already, but one thing I always like to ask is
Mhm,
if you're talking to
mhm,
yourself 10 years ago,
mhm.
what's that one piece of advice that can make that young lady confident and ready to go and hustle and grit? What would you say to her?
So, something that I learned not too long ago was to dream the most audacious, out of this world kind of dream and go for it, right? So, for me, my journey has always been very step by step. I'm like, why did I do this step by step? Why didn't I just go from like, instead of going A, B, C, D, no, why didn't I just go to Z, right? From the get. I would probably would have been in a very different place, but that was because I was not dreaming big enough. I was not dreaming big enough. And I don't know, whatever, as women, also maybe women in the Hispanic culture, we are not taught that. We are raised differently. We are raised to raise our families. We're raised to be wives and mothers first. Career is, you know, maybe if you have time, right, to incorporate a career into, motherhood and wifehood. So we're raised a little bit different. And I know that might be an old school kind of, I'm not raising my daughter that way, but, we're raised a certain way. And so, there might be, limitations on my own, in my own thought process. So now having my own business, I don't have all day to, take it step by step. I just want to continue growing and I love where we are. I love where we are and I love where we're going. But I feel that if my dreams would have been bigger earlier on, I would have accomplished so much more in a shorter period of time. So I would have said to myself, don't be afraid. Just think big, audacious goals. Do not be afraid to achieve them. I think that in this world, this country, for sure, we it's easier, much easier to attain and to do great things. I mean, it's just I love the world that we're living in right now, right? With the technology and just so much opportunity out there for us all. So yeah, so I would definitely think that just dream big.
Thank you for sharing most of all your voice, your journey, obviously. But what I heard through this whole thing was just really your heart and your heart really for women to, really take that next step into leadership of their own sort in confidence. It doesn't have to be in leadership at their job. They have the opportunities. Like you said, we live in a world of opportunities right now. And I think that what you have said today has been very encouraging. And it's just been fantastic to have you here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so very welcome.